Welcome to the introduction to Open Science. I would like to invite you to join me in the second scientific revolution. Let's kick off the course with a little bit of history. Today's journal system is the result of the first scientific revolution that took place in the 17th century. This revolution followed up an age in which scientists had unstable and solitary careers, and publications had the form of, believe it or not, secretive anagrams. Scientists joined forces in academies, and thanks to the development of the printing press, these academies started to publish the first scientific journals. The revolutionary aspect of it is that instead of publishing secretive anagrams, scientists started to publish their actual results. And since the second half of the 17th century, publishing journal articles has remained a crucial part of science. The journal publication system has worked for centuries, and it is quite effective in transmitting knowledge using 7th century media. You heard me right, with 17th century media, journals printed on paper. The vast majority of scientific publications we see today is created as if it is meant to be printed. Articles come in predefined forms and are usually downloaded as printout-like PDFs. Today, however, we have technology that is at least as impactful as the printing press. We have the internet. And with the development of the internet, one could argue that there is no fundamental reason other than our scientific heritage to stick to the ancient form of journals printed on paper. We currently see a transition in how scientific knowledge is being disseminated, and the traditional journal system is slowly being replaced. Scientists publish their research using new forms and methods through new types of journals and other types of new media. Depending on the discipline, this transition is referred to as the second scientific revolution, Science 2.0, or open research. In most fields, and in this course, we will refer to it as open science. So, let's first define a few concepts surrounding open science to get a better understanding of what we are discussing. The concept of open science has some slightly different definitions, but we define it as the dissemination of scientific knowledge that is as wide as possible, free of charge to all users, and accessible online. Open science is a collective name for a number of aspects of science, such as open education, open software, open courseware, and open research. Here, we will be focusing on the aspects that we consider to be the most relevant to you as a researcher. This is open research and its two components, open data and open access. So how do we define these two concepts then? Open data is defined as data that is freely available for everyone to use, share and build on as they wish, without restrictions from copyright, patents or other mechanisms of control. Offering data openly is highly relevant to supporting transparency of research, for advancing innovation and multidisciplinary research, and to increase the visibility of your work. However, opening research data does require very careful research data management. There are a lot of really interesting examples of open data sets with proper research data management that have helped to advance research across a wide range of scientific disciplines. One of these is the Protein Data Bank, which is a fully open access digital data repository containing three-dimensional structures of proteins. Since a function of a protein is a direct consequence of its 3D shape, it is a valuable tool for learning about functions of living cells. Because drug companies are also big users of the Protein Data Bank, this sharing of data enables and accelerates discovery and development of new drugs. According to a 2017 analysis, the Protein Data Bank contains more than $13 billion worth of research data. The economic impact of the Protein Data Bank services is estimated at more than $5.5 billion a year, 800 times the operating costs of the resource. So now that we've seen an interesting example of open data, let's move on to the second important concept in open science, open access. Open access refers to free and open online access to academic publications. Ideally, an open access publication is for anyone to read, download, copy, distribute, print, search for, search within, and use in research or another way within a limited number of legal agreements. So it means that people can access it for free and use it how they want. There are different ways in which you can publish open access. For now, you should know that there are two roads you can take as a researcher to publish your work open access. You can either publish your work in an open access journal that has a standard policy that readers do not pay for access to the journal, or publish in a journal that allows you to deposit the full text of your publication in a repository that is publicly accessible. This implies that you can publish a paper in a subscription-based journal and that you can share a specific version of that article openly in a database called a repository. You thereby allow free access to your article for anyone, even for people who do not have a subscription to the journal that you publish that paper in. So congratulations! By having an understanding of the basic concepts of open science, you have now taken your first step on the route to becoming an open researcher.